Het is al bijna een jaar na de gruwelijke aanslagen op 7 oktober. Israël treurt nog altijd om de doden en de gijzelaars. En toch wordt er nog steeds gevraagd, hoe heeft dit toen kunnen gebeuren? En hoe voorkomen we dit soort aanslagen in de toekomst? Ondertussen heeft zich een groot geopolitiek schouwspel ontvouwen. Niet alleen in Israël en het Midden-Oosten, maar over de hele wereld. De wereldeconomie wordt bedreigd door de Houthis in Jemen die de scheepvaart ontregelen. Hoe ernstig is die dreiging nu echt? Yuval Eylon heeft 30 jaar in het Israëlische leger gediend en was hoofd van de maritieme inlichtingendienst. Yuval, welcome in our studio. It's a pleasure to have you here. So you were in charge of the intelligence of the Navy in Israel for a few years. Can you summarize me briefly what was your responsibility there?
Yeah, you have to understand what is going on in the maritime arena. Mm-hmm. And because you have to operate in this arena and to protect Israel in this arena.
Not only on land, but also in the sea.
Yeah, of course, because Israel it's like an island if you're looking on that. Because on the geopolitical issue, we have long shore of more than 200 kilometers, but we have countries all around that because the political issue, you cannot use the routes, the roads, and for example, to buy stuff from other countries or to move from one place to another.
So it's an island. Yeah.
You're an island and all your economics depend on the sea, most of the economics.
So what did you do?
We have to analyze the situation in the area, especially about the countries that surround us, the country in the Mediterranean, their navies, the force, the ability and that they can operate the sea and from the sea to the shore. And of course about the non-state organization in the region that we have many.
And non-state the terrorist groups.
And the terrorist organization, of course.
Yeah. Is it mainly a focus that you have on fighting terrorism or is it broader than that?
It's broader than that because as you're, like in your country, you have a lot of history at the sea. And you're a superpower, you used to be a superpower at the sea. You know that the sea is not only operate in the sea or operate terror organization, it's all the countries operate in state, operate in the sea. Then the Mediterranean, it's a big place with everybody play in this area, all the superpowers, the countries, and of course the terror organization and the non-state organization, they operate at sea as well.
So we're going to focus in this interview also on the threat on the sea, because when we're watching the news, we mainly see the images that are talking about the land, so the fighting in Gaza, for example, but not so much about what is happening on the sea. But first, you have been for many years a military, a commander in the army. So, 7th of October, the attack of Hamas, did it come as a surprise to you?
I think it's come to surprise for me like whole state of Israel and the people of Israel. I was a civilian for 2 years, but it was a surprise for the Israeli country and for the Israeli military.
Yeah, I think also the fact that it was such a big attack was the biggest surprise. But my question would be, because the Israeli intelligence is known for being so good, so how is it possible that this came as a surprise, that Israel didn't see this coming?
First of all, the Israeli intelligence is very good, but when you get the data, first of all you have to get the data and then to analyze the data. But I think that we did a mistake the way that we analyze the data, maybe because we want something happen, will be the situation, or we thought the situation is different. And when you analyze the data and on your back of your mind you have your point of view about the situation, sometimes you reanalyze, you don't analyze very well the data or the situation.
Mistakes are made,
and that happens all around the world with the intelligence sometimes, that you misconception, you analyze the data under the misconception that you bring or you have before.
Do you think it could have been prevented?
What?
Do you think it could have been prevented?
It's really easy to be a smarter guy after that. And I think that we have to learn a lot of lessons and to investigate us to understand how it happened. But I'm not sure that if we were speak 1 year ago, I thought different that I thought 1 year ago.
Yeah.
But we have to learn all the lessons that we can learn from this situation.
Of course, yeah. And do you think now the situation is completely different than 1 year ago? Because now Israel is living with the reality of fighting a war. Do you think this kind of attack could ever happen again?
I think that we have, as I said, to learn the lesson and to understand that you have all the time to ask the hard question and to reanalyze the information one after time after time after time. But we understand, and I think that all the world understand now, the situation in the Mediterranean is different with what we thought 1 year or 2 years ago.
What is the difference?
The difference, first of all, that we try to make it easier, to make it's quiet, and we understand that the people beyond the border, they don't want to do it. And the time that we thought that they want to live in peace, they all the time they put a lot of effort to build their force. We knew that, but we thought that maybe if somebody have a good life or even better life in a few years, maybe he can choose a different way.
Yeah,
but they didn't.
Happen. No.
And this is, I think, that the different way of thinking that we have to remember all the time.
Yeah. So when 7th of October happened and then the war between Hamas and Israel started, it was not only a war against Hamas, but it was also broader. There was also Hezbollah who was involved and also the Houthis. And in this interview we want to focus on that because the Houthis are the ones who are fighting on the sea. So can you describe what is the threat of the Houthis?
First of all, I think that we have to speak about the sea and about the line of communication. Our economics sail on the waves, on the sea. You can see many ships like here in Amsterdam. You have a huge maritime country. You know how to deal with the sea. And we have to understand that this is an economic issue.
Yeah, so Israel is very dependent on the sea.
Yeah, and 96% of the goods that Israel that it's from the sea, like most of the world. And one of the line of the communication, we have the Mediterranean line of communication and we have the Red Sea line of communication. If you can see the line of communication, it came from the east to the west. 20% of the ships use the Red Sea.
Yeah.
And the terror organization understand it. And if you analyze the globe, you can analyze the point that the terrorist organization and the non-state actor can operate. We call it choke points, straits.
Yes.
Like in the Red Sea and the south, it's Bab el-Mandeb, and in the north, it's Suez Canal. In the Mediterranean, you have the Gibraltar on the west.
So these are the most vulnerable areas of the Red Sea?
And state put a lot of effort to secure them and to put a lot of effort to control them.
But then there are these Houthis in Yemen. What is their goal?
That's what happened when you, like Iran, operate your proxies all around. And you want to put a lot, you understand you have to put a lot of effort on this point that there are, for example, the choke points at the sea. Then you give a lot of pressure for the Houthis to operate in the Red Sea, because the Red Sea, as I told you, 20% of the ships and 30% of the containers that goes all around the world, they go through the Red Sea.
Yeah.
And if you control Bab el-Mandeb, for example, is the gate for the Red Sea.
Yeah.
And what happened all around the world, we have to understand that now we have a combination of threats on the chain of supply. Because as we said that most of our goods go through the sea, we have put a lot of effort on the chain of supply through the sea, and you have the Red Sea, that the Houthis put a lot of effort to stop the traffic at the Red Sea.
Right.
And on the other hand, you have the Panama Canal. And the Panama Canal, because the global warming, now you can move less than half of the ship that they can use this canal 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you have the two sides of the world. On the one hand, you have the strategic issue or the military issue. On the other hand, you have the warming global issue. Then this is the reason that all the superpowers come to help to solve this problem in the Red Sea. And what happens with the Houthis?
Yeah.
That the Houthis, They, for many years, they operate in the area. They put a lot of pressure and they fight their terror organization.
Yeah. But what is their goal? Is their goal actually to attack Israel, or is it broader than that?
It's from the beginning they want to control the area of the Arab countries. The Shia Yazidi non-state organization, terror organization that operate for the last 20 years. Usually and mainly they operate in their region. They, if we remember in the past, they attacked Aramco. It was the oil fields, the Saudi Arabia oil field, and they hit very, very hard these fields.
So what is the impact of the attacks that they're doing? Because they're attacking ships, they're attacking an oil field, as you
No, they used to, now, as I told you, the Houthis organization, they want to, first of all, they want to operate themselves in the region and to control Yemen. But now they join to the radical countries, supported by Iran. It's one of the proxies, like Hezbollah, like Hamas. The Houthis, they are proxy of Iran. Iran put a lot of effort, ammunition, and money to support them. And what they said, that they, now all of them together, they surround Israel now. They fire missiles and shell rockets and missiles from Yemen. It's 2,000 kilometers. Yeah. To Eilat port, for example, or even to Tel Aviv. They attack with UAV, attack Tel Aviv from Yemen.
Are they successful in their attack to Israel?
They are not so successful, but still, not many terror organization can shell or fire like 10 or 15 or 20 UAVs and missiles for 2,000 kilometers. That all of them will come to another point in exact time. Right. They're a really strong organization.
Yeah. So it seems, because we see a lot of it in the news, that Israel is attacking Hamas, but it seems like Israel is not really acting against the Houthis. So what is actually happening by Israel to prevent them from doing what they do?
First of all, as I said in the beginning, it's an international problem. And I think the world have to understand, like we have 10 years ago, we have the pirates groups in the region, the same region, and all the world under the UN sent forces to fight them, and we finished this problem.
So you say it's the same. It's not only the problem of Israel, but
it's not only the problem of Israel, and we can see that the United States and the Great Britain, they put a lot of effort and they attacked every day the Houthis, but it's not enough, maybe. And Israel acted as well 1 month ago after they operated the UAV that hit Tel Aviv and one man has been killed. We attacked the port, the main port. It's called the Hodela port. And it supports most of the people, most of the terror organization, most of the ammunition and most of the stuff come from this port. And this is the reason that we attacked this port, but still.
But should there be more attack against the Houthis, according to you, by the world community?
I think that if the world community wants to solve this problem, he has to put effort. They put effort, but not enough. We can see the last week, we have a huge ship there that they hit with a missile. The Houthis hit with the missile. It's quick ship with a lot of oil, and it will be awful if all the oil will spill to the Red Sea.
So what would be the consequences? Because you say that the world is reacting, but according to you, it's not enough. So what are the possible threats in the future if the Houthis can continue doing what they are doing now in the Red Sea?
I think that we have to understand that Iran operates a lot of proxies. One of the proxies is the Houthis that they operate in the Red Sea. If the world wants to solve it, and he wants, because as I told you, 20% of our ships go there. Now they have to go all the way south to Africa and then up to the United States or to Europe. And it's very costly. And
so it's an impact on the world economy.
And even the price in Netherlands maybe will rise because of this problem. But we have to put more effort to stop this problem. But it's not only about the Houthis. We have to understand the terror organization, understand that if they can operate at sea, and they can operate on the surface and under the water and harm for the ships, even for, we didn't speak about it, but it's not only ships. To the seas go all our information and data go through submarine cables, and I think we can see that the terror organizations start to understand that they can operate at sea. The Houthis in Yemen, it's only an example.
Yeah.
The next step can be in other straits or other choke points all around the world. We saw here in Europe when one side want to block the Black Sea, then how its influence on the economic of all Europe.
Economy, yeah.
And this is, I think that the world have to understand that you have to deal with this problem when they are small, because when you leave the terror organization
then
to understand that he can operate at sea and he can do it for many, many months, then the other terror organization all around the world can learn that it's okay. And it's a maritime issue, it's an international problem, and
it affects the world.
We call it in our language, we call it the free of navigation. We have to give the world the free of navigation at the sea. You cannot block the sea.
So in April, Iran attacked Israel directly with hundreds of missiles, and we saw an international cooperation then to help Israel to block the missiles coming to Israel. Do you think this cooperation could continue against, in this specific case, the Houthis, who are like the proxy of Iran, as you described?
Yeah, I think that first of all, we can see a coalition. Now we have a Western coalition that operates in the region. I think that maybe some countries, they don't want to join this coalition because they're afraid from the influence of Iran. For example, the country that lives in the region, in the Red Sea, in the other, on the east side, because this problem of the Red Sea, it's not only the Israeli, it's not Israeli problem, it's their problem, for example, Egypt.
Yeah. So, but that's also my next question, because a few years ago there was the Abraham Accords between Israel and a few of Arab countries. Do you think the Abraham Accords are still in effect right now, because there is a war going on in the Middle East?
First of all, we can see if it works, then the country do things together, for example, in April, and we have to understand we have the same interest in the region. We want to block Iran from influence in the region, especially Israel, and the other Arab countries, the moderate Arab countries, Iran influenced them as well as Israel. Then I think the Abraham Accord, it's a great deal, and we have to put a lot of effort to build more and more, maintain it, and to build more and more countries that join this relationship with all the countries in the region.
And do you think this coalition with the Abraham Accords with some of the Arab countries, could it also help in the war against Iran and all the proxies that they have?
I think it depends the situation, and it depends how much pressure Iran will put on the other countries. And I think if you look on the long term, yes, you have to do all together. Everybody have to understand that the real problem in the region is the radical extremists that sit in Tehran that want to influence the Mediterranean, and we have to cooperate with other countries in the region to solve it.
And meanwhile, we have the threat of Iran. A few weeks ago, it was of course in the news that the leader of Hamas had been killed in Tehran, and Iran swore to have a revenge on Israel in the coming weeks. It didn't happen up until now, but still the threat is there. Do you think Israel would be ready for such an attack from Iran?
I think that everybody in Israel learned the lesson from the 7th of October, and we are fully alert. And I believe in our leaders and in our military and our other branch that have to deal with it, the intelligence branch, that they are doing their best and they are doing their job.
But still, as you say, Israel is an island surrounded by enemies. Do you think they're ready, like when from all the fronts Israel is being attacked?
I think that what we have to build our force, and we have to understand. But again, if you build strong coalitions around you, you can deal with it easily. It's easy to deal with that than by yourself.
Right. Talking about the media, because the war is not only going on in the sea or on the land, but also in the way people talk about it. In the media we hear a lot about the civilian deaths in Gaza, and it is reported that this war would be more tough, and so a lot of civilians are dying in the Hamas in the war against Hamas. How does the Israeli army approach this war? Because it's a war in very urban area. How do they make sure that they fight in a way that is according to the international law?
I know from my past and my history that we put a lot of effort to protect the civilian in the area when you fight there, and you use everything that you can use not to harm them. If they are not terrorists, you use UAVs from the air to see where they are going. You use the media, you use your intelligence, and you want to kill only the terrorist leader or the terrorist guys that go around. It's tough, but we put a lot of effort. But always you have somebody that help you to do it in the right way, and even you have to understand the international law, and we use a lot of lawyers to help us to understand exactly what happened.
What is allowed and what is not allowed.
Yeah, and we put a lot of effort to do it really in the right way, because we really believe that we have to fight not like a terrorist. We have to fight like a country, a democracy, the only democracy in the Mediterranean, and we have to put a lot of effort not to harm for the one on the civilian, that they are not involved in terrorist.
But you say that the IDF puts a lot of effort to prevent civilian deaths, but still we are talking about enormous amounts of people, civilians who are dying, children, women. So how can you combine these two facts? People are dying.
Yeah, in the war it's a bad thing, war, and people are dying, but you have to understand what the other side does. They use most of the time, or many times, they use their civilian. They hide inside hospital. They put the ammunition inside school. You can see that they put missiles in a bed of a child or in a nursery. And most of that most of our hostages, they put them inside hospitals, and they put a lot of civilians around them because they want them to be in the hospital, and the terrorist organization operate from hospitals. We see many times that they fire missile from a civilian area.
Yeah.
And even now, when we move this, or we ask the civilian to move from one side to the other side, most of the terrorists, they are not staying in their places.
They are coming with
they
the
came with the civilian, with children and youngest people, and they live among them, and they operate they stuff from the area and from even the houses. You can see in the first floor a family with small children and with old people. In the shelter we have a lot of ammunition, a lot of missiles, and they fire for this place into Israel. And this is really tough.
Decisions are very tough to make.
Yeah, but we try to do it really big. This is the reason, one of the reasons that we send soldiers inside, not to kill only from outside, to go inside to see what is happening, to kill only the people that they are terrorists.
But still, Israel is being accused of committing genocide in Gaza. So how do you combine those two things?
I think that first of all, it's easier to sit far away and not to know all the details, and then to say that we do bad things. And the media, it's always, and maybe this is the job of the media, to put a lot of effort to give the point of view of the weak side, but I'm not sure that now who is the weak and who is the strong side. And I think that it's easier to blame Israel and not to go to try to understand the situation and to go to see what it's really happened there. And this is the situation, but we understand that we put a lot of effort and we do all what we can to protect the civilian in Gaza, but still we have to deal with crazy terrorist organization that kidnap and killed and rape more than 1,000 people in Israel in one day.
And still 100 hostages are still in Gaza.
Yeah.
So, because recently the hostages were found that were executed by Hamas just days before they were found by the IDF. Do you think the army is now more cautious in Gaza, more careful because they know that Hamas is going to kill the hostages if they find them?
I think for the last 10 or 11 months, the military act we knew that we have hostages in the region, and you operate really carefully and understand that they are somewhere in the region. I don't really know the details, what happens really in the last case. But of course, you have to operate and to remember all the time, you operate in the civilian area on one side, on the other side you have the hostages that's somewhere.
Yeah.
And the terrorists, they want to move with them and they want to hide them, and you have to find them.
Do you think Hamas can ever fully be destroyed?
I think we can destroy the military abilities of the Hamas, and we have to find a solution how to that the Palestinians can manage themselves without terror organization. But now it's about the military abilities and the capabilities of Hamas.
So you say the military we can destroy as being Israel?
I think the military essence and the military and the terrorist, it's a terrorist organization, it's a military organization. This is what the military or the IDF tried to do.
And what about the ideology of Hamas? Do you think
I think this is not a question for me. You know, I'm a military guy, and I think on the military side you can do it. It's a philosophical question, I think.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask to conclude, because Israel said in the beginning of the war, they said, okay, we want to free the hostages, we want to end Hamas, the rule of Hamas in Gaza. Do you think there can be an end to this war in Gaza?
I think we have no other choice. We have to live in Israel. We want the villages that are surround the Gaza Strip will rise again. We want the people to go back. 20 or 30% of our agriculture there, it's around Gaza Strip, and we have no other choice.
No.
We have to rebuild the area. We have no other place to live except Israel, and this is the reason that we have no choice.
No.
We have to win this.
You have to win the war.
We have to win this war.
And are you optimistic? Is it going to
always?
happen soon?
I think, if you're Israeli, you have to be optimistic. And like Shimon Peres said, the optimistic way for life. You have to believe and to see for a long path and to understand that we have no other choice. This is the only country in the world that belongs to the Jewish people, and we understand from the history, and 7th of October, it's another lesson that we really have only one place around the world, and we have to protect on our home. And this is the reason that we all live there and protect our home as a military of civilian. And I want to thank you, all of you, especially the CVI, on behalf of the people of Israel, and on behalf especially of the younger generation that live now in Israel. We have a lot of children, even mine, that they suffer from tragic, traumatic era, experience. And it's still go on, but the support that we got from you, and the win that we came from the Netherlands to Israel, it's really not obvious that people support Israel and the people of Israel, and even our children, they feel and it's remind them.
It helps to continue.
Yeah, it helps, and they remind them to believe in the faith that the people, they are good people, and they want people to live in peace and quiet. And thank you very much for your support. We really appreciate it. And
thank you for coming to our studio, Yuval Eylon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
U thuis ook bedankt voor het kijken naar deze uitzending van Christenen voor Israël. En u kunt betrokken blijven bij ons werk. Ga naar de website cvi.nl/actueel. Daar kunt u nieuwsberichten vinden, ook punten waarvoor u kunt bidden, onze activiteiten, onze uitzendingen en ook onze podcast. cvi.nl/actueel. Nogmaals, dank voor het kijken en graag tot de volgende keer.